So, Armani,
Yes.
you are here with McKinney. Is it McKinney Construction, or how do you? Is it just McKinney?
It's McKenny's Incorporated.
McKinney's Incorporated. And we're here at Construction Ready, Career Expo in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Georgia Congress Center. Welcome to the line.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I was walking around here, with my son earlier and looking at the different events and the things that are going on. And you guys were there at your stand, and you do some similar things that we do here at Blackline in one of our teams in the design world. And so we got to talking, and I just thought it'd be great to sit down and have an honest conversation. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing here, and let's hear a little bit about your origin of who you are, Armani, and why you're here at this Career Expo.
All right. Well, I'm clearly here with McKenny's. We're a mechanical contractor in Atlanta. We also have an office in Charlotte, North Carolina. Right now, we have a booth set up, and we're doing a few different things over there, actually. I'm on the virtual construction side, so we have the Oculus set up. We have Trimble set up so that kids can come by and see what we do on Revit and the virtual things that we create. But then we also have welding over there. We have pipe fitting opportunities. We have a scalpel over there. We have a scissor lift that they can get on. So we're just exposing kids to different things that McKinney's has to offer, and as well as just educating them on the different paths that they can take coming into McKinney's, whereas from trade side or coming out of college. For me, my origin, I'm from Atlanta. I'm an Atlanta native. You don't hear that often here. Most people are transplants from somewhere else.
So you're originally from Atlanta.
I'm from Atlanta, born and raised.
When we walked over there, and I think it's important just to, to recognize you introduced yourself to me as a student.
Yes.
And so I made some assumptions, and so I'm just curious in your origin here. When did you graduate high school?
I graduated high school in 2013.
So 2013, that was a little while ago.
That was a while ago.
I'm thinking that I made some assumptions, and you're never supposed to talk about a lady's age. So,
Right.
But I made some assumptions there about how old you were. So tell us a little bit about your story. 2013, and now here you are, and you're a student.
Yes.
Yeah.
2013, I went to college. While I was in college, I got an opportunity to work as a permit tech at City of Atlanta. So that is how my career path started.
Okay.
So while I was going to school, I started off at City of Atlanta doing permitting. I ended up working with the fire marshal, and I ended up getting my fire inspector 1 certification, my fire plans examiner certification. So I just started getting certifications at an early age, and I started working in trades in that arena, more so in the government sector. And then because I was working for, at that time, a contractor, we contracted out with different municipalities.
Okay.
So I was doing that work in different cities, and then I ended up getting my other ICC certifications in building inspecting, plumbing, all kind of stuff. So I was working as a building inspector for the most part. And then I realized, wow, I'm gaining all of these certifications. I went to school, and I'm not making enough money. I'm like, what am I doing all this hard work for?
Yeah.
And it's like every time I would go for a raise, it was dependent upon the commissioners. The commissioners would basically say, okay, if you're in this job title, this is the most money you can make. It doesn't matter how well you do at your job. It doesn't matter this, that, or other. This is the max. And I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, I have to do something else. So I decided to go back to school, and I wanted to do something that was going to be more in tune with the future. And I was like, okay, I love construction, but what is going to be the future of construction? And then I found out about BIM at Georgia Highlands College. And
So for those who are listening, just tell us a little bit. I mean, I know of BIM, but what is BIM if you're listening to this and BIM?
BIM,
Yeah.
Building Information Modeling.
Yeah.
But the title for my degree is Building Information Modeling Management. So we're learning project management skills. We're learning Revit, Tekla structures. We're learning SketchUp, all different types of programs, AutoCAD.
Wow.
So we're learning how to design. We're learning how to manage a project overall.
Yeah.
And also BIM is all about interoperability. So it's all about having people of different trades, stakeholders, everyone that's a part of the project being able to communicate virtually and
Yeah.
create this building before it even exists, energy saving costs. So it's so many things. I could go
Yeah.
on and on about BIM. I'm really passionate about BIM for sure.
Well, it's interesting. In our design side, we work with Revit, and we interact with BIM as well. And I find it really interesting because in construction, and I've said this a lot, but when you build a building, you have to build it together. You know, by trade, I'm an electrician, and I did a podcast with a guy a little while ago, and we were talking, and it's like, you know, my son, when he was a kid, we'd be driving past a project, and I'd be like, Dad built that. And he's like, Dad, I thought you were an electrician.
Right.
And it's like, I can't build a building, but yet with electricians and plumbers and all of the trades, you know, you can't just have a concrete floor. You can't wire receptacles in a wall that isn't there. You can't have an HVAC system if there's not grid work to work with it.
Right.
You know, and that building automation, the thing that it does is it brings all those things together. And we were looking at some of the software that you guys use at McKinney Incorporated, and it is fascinating to me where technology is going and how it's bringing things together just to coordinate those things that you're talking about.
Right.
So I understand why you're passionate about it.
Yeah, it's a big, and speaking of coordination, that's a big part of what I do. We design on one end, but then we also have to coordinate. So all the trades that come together, make sure that nothing is going to be clashing when they actually go to build it. So it's not just putting everything together, but make sure, okay, this pipe isn't running into this electrical conduit line and all
Right.
those things. So we're making sure we can avoid all those things virtually so that it can be a smoother transition when they are actually building in the field.
Yeah, absolutely. So you wanted to make more money, wanted to be, I would say, a little bit more in control of your future and where you were going.
Absolutely.
So where were we at in your story?
So I ended up going back to school, found out about BIM. This was around COVID time.
Okay.
And I continued working in government for a couple years, and then I was like, okay, let me start transitioning my way into actually using this degree. And I found out about McKENNEY'S. Someone that's on the board at my school actually worked for McKENNEY'S. And I was like, okay. I talked to him, I sent my resume, and literally the rest was history from that point. I applied, I got accepted, and I joined McKENNEY'S. Now, McKENNEY'S is a unique company because they take co-ops and interns, and they truly train you. So for me, going into BIM, every software I need to know, every process, mechanical systems, because I'm not a mechanical engineer. I knew about mechanical systems as far as code goes
Right.
because I did inspections, but I didn't understand the depth of how everything works. And they taught me all that stuff. So I felt so supported. I felt like you know how some companies you sink or swim?
Yeah.
At
yeah.
McKENNEY'S, there's always a lifeguard on duty.
Really?
Yes.
That's a good line.
So you're not going to just sink at McKENNEY'S. They have so many people to support you. It's never it's my boss and then it's me. It's a team. And
Yeah.
everyone truly wants to see you succeed. And I love that.
Yeah.
So now this is my second, rotation, you can say. So it's my second semester at McKENNEY'S. And I already received an offer to go into a project engineering role, which will be a pathway to project management, which they will also allow me to go through rotations and train, go in the field, work in different departments to make sure I truly understand everything about McKENNEY'S, everything about project management before they actually put me out there. So
Wow.
it's very reassuring. It's been so much support, and I can't say enough about them.
That's pretty cool. I think, and we'll talk more about this in just a little bit, but when I was over there, you guys got a pretty big booth. There's a lot of blue shirts around there.
Yes.
Um,
I was surprised myself.
yeah.
I was like, wow, this is all us. Okay.
And you got a lot of stuff going on. When we were talking earlier, and I don't think this was, I think this is earlier before we were recording. What's some of the things that you have over there in your booth that you guys are, you were talking about scissors lift, you were talking about welding.
Yes, the scissor lift is definitely one of the kids' favorites here.
Yeah.
They see the scissor lift like, yeah, I want to ride that. They go straight to the back. So yeah, but the scissor lift, we have the scissor lift in the back. It's more so about showing them the safety on the
Okay.
equipment than just the fun. The fun is like the excitement part to get their attention, but then it's like when they get over there, let's teach them about safety. Safety is a very big important part of McKENNEY'S.
Yeah.
We are very adamant about safety. And then we also have the virtual reality section, which is what I'm a part of. So we have the Oculus set up. We have Trimble set up, and the kids love going and seeing that. Being able to go through the models like in real life. And it's things that we actually built, actual projects that we're working on that they're able to see virtually just sitting down in there. We also have pipe fitting section and a welding section where they can actually go over there. It's not just virtual, like you can actually weld and see what it feels like to hold like a welding gun. So
just so that I understand this, you can actually weld here at the expo
Absolutely.
in your booth.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
It is.
I think that's that's one of the biggest things in learning in the trades is there's only so much that you can learn virtually. There's only so
Absolutely.
much that you can learn in the book, and being able to physically do it and experience it like that, that's really a big deal. So let's just talk about, I have a question for you here. We talked a little bit earlier about this. What is a piece of gear or a tool that Armani just cannot live without? Like, what is something that it's the last thing on earth, you have to have it?
So this may be like different from a lot of people's answers, but for me, just for my background and my history, I would say a Bible.
Really?
Yes, that would
That's
be my
pretty
answer.
good. I love that. And I'm assuming that's because that's tied to your faith.
Yes.
And a lot of your belief.
Yes.
I can appreciate that.
Thank you.
I share that faith and belief. I mean, that's why I think I'm motivated to do a lot of what I do. We talked about this a little earlier. Let's just talk about McKinney a little bit more, because you when we were over there and we were looking at things with you, and not just you. Matter of fact, we were talking with the rest of your team, and when my son was there, and he was asking different questions about the virtual stuff that you guys do. And I mean, the passion that was coming off from your team, you guys clearly enjoy what you're doing. And you were super excited to be able to share that with the young people. And I was watching you, even in that moment, invest in my son by you were asking him some really specific questions, because, you were asking him questions that are like, well, what about this? You talked a little bit about, well, it's not just getting in the dirt in construction. So can you talk about that for those who might be listening here thinking, well, construction is just, out on the job. What does it look like for you, a day in the life of Armani and what she's doing at McKinney?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, going back when any kids or high school or college are coming up to the booth, I first ask, like, are you in high school or college, and are you trying to go to college, or do you want to go into trades? Because I feel like that's important. I do not believe college is for everyone. It's just not. And I do believe that we need trades. And if you look at the age of most people that are in trades, they're older, they're getting close to retirement age. We need younger people to come on board. We truly need younger people, because, like you were saying, who's going to fix my toilet? Who's going to fix the lights? Like, if we don't get younger people in, and there's so many job opportunities that they don't realize that pay very well.
Yes.
I promise you, I am not worried right now.
She is not worried.
So I think there's a lot of opportunities that they just need to know about. And with McKinney's, each one of us that was standing at the booth when you came over, we all have a different story.
Yeah.
I'm in school, I'm in college, right? I work trades, but I went to school. Some of the other people that are working there, they didn't go to school. They definitely make a lot more money than me also. They came, they worked in the field, they went to a union, they went to a IBEW or a local 70, a local 85 or a local 72. They started off in that arena. They worked in the field, and then they were able to, because of their field experience, get an opportunity to come into the office and, hey, can you draft this? If you know what it looks like in the field, you can. You just have to learn the software at that point.
Yeah.
Now you have another opportunity to no longer be outside, no longer have to do that field work, and you can be inside. And especially as people like maybe getting older, maybe starting a family, they may want something a little more versatile, not having to be outside at 5 a.m. They may want to be able to take their kids to school. So there's a lot of adjustments on that end. Some people go to technical colleges and just learn drafting and come in. Some people, there's just so many different pathways that McKinney's offers as far as people coming in, whether you want to go field trade school route, if you want to go the college route. You can go the co-op route, or you can go get trained in the field. Either way, the fact that they provide training, the fact that they're patient with you, the fact that they're willing to teach you, you don't find that everywhere. A lot of companies, they want you coming in already knowing.
Yeah.
So for me, I am glad that I went to school and I'm learning a lot of things, but I will be sitting here lying if I said everything I know is because of school.
Yeah.
Hands-on experience, being like on the jobs, actually learning the software in like on site, that's where I learned most of the things that I know.
It's interesting. When I was in school for different things when I was younger, and then I just couldn't retain some of the stuff that I would learn. And then I would learn the same thing in the field as I was going through an apprenticeship or something like that, learning the actual book learning and doing the work at the same time. It was almost like it burned it into my brain, and I was able to retain it long enough for it to become part of what I knew, part of the knowledge and the education that I had.
Right.
And I find that really interesting in learning, whether you're learning a trade, and a trade is more than just electrical work or mechanical work, or, it's all of those things, but yet learning it, what you're doing with the virtual, like a lot of people think, well, if you're going to be in construction, it's just this, and this. And you just talked about all these people that work at your organization that started in construction. They are in construction, but their job is different. I think people really think, well, this is all it is. So many people think that, oh, well, if I want to be an electrician, that means I'm wiring up houses. And there's so much more to that. If I want to be, a plumber or an HVAC tech, that means that I'm installing, ductwork in somebody's basement. And it's like, it is so much more than that, because
so much more, yeah.
we are here in a very large city that we're in this huge conference center, and it's actually comfortable. At least it is for me. The temperature is being regulated. There is water, there's electricity, there's everything that we need. And this entire city has that.
Yes.
And I think that people don't realize all of the opportunities that are there, and all of the things, and even so where you're at right now and what is happening at McKinney, you're transitioning from, did you say you were an intern?
Yes.
Co-op? Okay.
So they have co-ops. Co-ops is when you commit to coming back certain rotations. I didn't commit because I was like, hey, I need an internship to graduate.
Yeah.
I'm just going to come here for one rotation, get that out the way to say that I can graduate and meet that requirement, and then I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And now I'm not. So
yeah.
I'm like, I'm probably going to retire here. I love it here. So
that's awesome.
Yes.
That's
so
awesome.
And when you come in as an intern, you don't have to commit, but.
And so now you're working in a project engineering role, or you're going to be.
Yes.
And then a project, just for those that are listening, at McKinney, what is a project engineering role, and what does that entail?
So a project engineer, so there's different pathways. You can do a PE to APM, a APM to PM role. So it's basically a project engineer to a project management role that I'm doing. You can do an assistant project manager to a project manager role. But basically the ultimate goal is to be a project manager. And the PE role is basically the role that you start off in, and you're learning, you're supporting your project.
Okay.
So you don't have as much responsibility as a project manager, but you're learning and you're taking on a certain amount of responsibility while you're also going through different departments and learning the McKinney's way, as we say.
So you referenced the McKinney's way, and we talked about how big the booth is, how many people are over there. There was a lot. Yes. There was a lot of people there. And as we were talking, and we were getting into conversation, not only about the work that you guys do and how you invest in training and things like that, which is essential in the trade industry right now. It is essential that companies are investing and doing that. But we began then to talk about one of the things that's my passion, and it's a vision of Blackline, to lift the view of the skilled trades, to shine a light on people, and to promote what it is that they do. I mean, the very reason that we're doing this podcast, as much as some people might think we like to hear the sound of our own voice, the conversations that we have, promoting them out there on the internet so that other people can hear these things, so that you can learn these are the things that are out there. McKinney is not the only one that does what it is that they're doing, but there sure does need to be more of you that are doing what they're doing. So when I was there and we were having these conversations and we're talking about lifting the view of the skilled trades, it was almost like more people started to congregate towards the table. I mean, I could feel the group growing. And then we began to talk about the value of people and investing and highlighting those who are doing the work, who are out there making sure that the plumbing is working, making sure that the things are done. And talk with me a little bit about the culture, because I referenced that word. And what was the young woman's name?
Lucy.
Lucy. She literally is in the back, like two people deep in the back, and she starts jumping up and down about the culture.
Yes.
And it was really clear that you guys all love working there. Talk to me about what McKinney's culture is like. Why is she jumping up and down? Why is that important to her in that way that she literally can't contain herself?
The culture is what keeps us there. On average, every person I've talked to at McKinney's has worked there for like 20 plus years. We just had someone retire after 50 years. That is unheard of these days, of someone working at a company that long. So that alone says a lot about the culture of McKinney's. They truly care about the employees. We have a gym to make sure that we have access to make sure that we're healthy, right? We have a deli that's subsidized. There's so many things they offer. They're always feeding us. That's another thing. Like, we always have some type of snacks or some type of food, but there's also tons of training opportunities. We have online training sessions on our SharePoint that we can go in and like watch videos to learn things. We have lunch and learns all the time where other companies come in and they teach us about what they do. They're always pouring into us. They truly show that they care. They don't just say it and then, oh, here's a $5 bonus or something. Like, no, they show that we care. They spend the time, they spend resources, and there's just honestly nothing to complain about. I think the only issue McKinney's has right now is that we need more field people.
Yeah.
And that is going to come with people being educated on the opportunities that they have in trades.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's our vision at Blackline, and that's why we're doing what we're doing, because I think that if more people knew that there are companies like McKinney out there that are making the investments that you guys are making, that more people would be like, wait a minute, I want to do that. I want to be a part of that. And I think it's also really interesting. It's not something that it's like, well, you do this and that's it. Like everybody that I was talking to over there, I was hearing different stories of people who they started doing this and now they're doing this and now they're doing this. One of the things that I always am saying about the skilled trades is there is no ceiling. There's no, we in the trades industry, it's one of the industries where you can start with a screwdriver or a shovel or a broom, and you can end up in the corner office being the man or woman that runs or owns the company.
Literally, a few of our VPs started off as co-ops.
Wow.
And now they're VPs. So it shows like you really can.
So when you say co-op, explain to me what that means. Like, I think I understand, but tell me what you're meaning when you say a co-op.
So you're in college and you come into, it's basically an internship. But when you co-op, you commit to coming back 2, 3, 4 rotations. So you're committing to a certain amount of time that you're going to invest in McKinney's.
And what is a rotation when you're there?
A school semester. So whereas August to September, January to May to August, a summer rotation. So that's what you're committing to. And one of the things that people probably don't know about McKinney's also is that they will do tuition reimbursement even for co-ops. So if you spend 3 rotations with them, they'll give tuition reimbursement, especially if your grades are good. Same thing for grad school. So when I say they pour into you, they truly support you. Like, you commit to them, it's like you're locked in. It's a family now.
Wow.
And they're family owned, majority anyways. So because of that, I feel like it just adds to the culture.
And so, and you guys are a mechanical contractor, so you do, you guys were talking to me about it over there. Tell me a little bit more, like what does that mean that you're a mechanical contractor? So what is it all that you do? Because it seems like you guys do it quite a bit. And there was a crane company right next to you in another booth, and he just was commenting. He said, yeah, we do as much of their work as we possibly can. Yes. So even that culture is like oozing out beyond the borders of your company, which is pretty awesome. Yeah,
the culture is definitely not within. If you work with us, if you worked for us, you have experienced that culture. And we do HVAC, we do plumbing, and we do mechanical piping. So those are our main things. So sheet metal, pipe fitting, all that is what we do, just no electrical.
No electrical.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where we draw the line.
That's where you draw the line, yeah. You have to be a little crazy to do electrical work. That's a true statement. So, well, one of the things that I just find really interesting earlier this week, and I think it's good for us to talk about, because we talked about lifting the view of the skilled trades. We talked about putting a spotlight on people. So I just want to ask you a question here, and one of the things that I noticed, I was on, I don't even want to say this, even though it's really obvious that I'm on Instagram, but I was on Instagram and someone had posted something that was encouraging to me. And I really was struck by the encouragement that we can put into other people's lives, how we can lift people up, not just lift the view of the skilled trades up, but one of the reasons that I think that it matters so much to lift the view, and the reason that we say it that way is so many people in our culture, and our culture for years has taken the men and women who do the work that you're talking about, and we've diminished it. We've been like, well, that's not good enough. You can't have a good career. You can't do this. You're not going to feel fulfilled. Oh, you need to do that. And I want anybody, including my son, what is it that you want to do, feel like you should do, that you're going after? But it's like, you need to know that these things are there. My question for you is, why do you think it is that, and how do you think it affects people, the encouragement, why is that important for us to be encouraging one another and shining a spotlight on what we do? Like when we have some of these pictures here that we're sharing with people, when we go out on a job site and we're taking pictures of the work that you guys are doing, that does something that lifts them up and it highlights them. Why do you think that is?
I think it shows them opportunity.
Yeah.
And a lot of times people just don't know. I was just talking to a few high school girls. I was like, what do you want to go to school for? She was like, I don't know, English, maybe psychology. And then as we kept talking, she was like, I don't even know. So I feel like coming out of high school, there's so much pressure on young kids to make a decision and figure out what they're going to do for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
They have to know what they want to be when they grow up as soon as that May graduation date hits.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's unfair to put that much pressure on someone at such a young age coming straight out of high school. And I think it's also a lack of education out there about other opportunities that may not be traditional. And there's a lot of pressure sometimes from families. I come from, my aunt and my uncle, both electrical engineers, my mother, PhD. I come from a family that has a lot of high education.
Wow.
My parents had a construction company growing up. So seeing my mom go from, college, working at Bell South, doing all these things, my uncle being electrical engineers, and then transitioning to, construction, this is different. And seeing that business is like, I had that opportunity. Everyone doesn't have the opportunity to see both sides.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to keep people encouraged and let them know, it's okay to start over at 25. And change your whole career. There's so many opportunities out there, and it won't take forever. And it's better to start at 25 than never start at all. It's better to start at 30 than never start at all. 40, 50. Don't let your age, don't let this idea of what time is limit you from actually changing your life and having an opportunity to have so much more. Because you're still going to age, and life is still going to happen, and you can either have that degree or not. You can either have that trade skill or not. So don't let the pressure of what society is telling you or self-doubt stop you from going after something that can truly change your life. Yeah. Yeah, that fear.
That fear. I think fear paralyzes. No good decisions are ever made with fear. It just doesn't happen. And you talk about, we just need to do it. We just need to get out there and we need to try this. And then if that doesn't work, then we can shift and try that. And there's this fear that if we don't have it all figured out and if we don't do it, we're going to miss it. When the truth of it is, if we don't actually move on something, we don't continue to grow, then we've already missed it, and we'll continue to miss it and not realize it. And then it makes it that much harder to move the next time.
Right. And even for me, like I said, I went to college and everything. Then I went back to school at around 25.
Yeah.
If I didn't make this decision to go back to school, I wouldn't be in the position that I am now, with the opportunities that I have now, with the people I've met working at McKENNEY'S. I would probably have gone down a completely different path. Could it have been bad? Maybe. Could it have been great? Maybe. But I love and I'm very happy that I am the way I am. And if that fear would hold me back, I would not be here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just think that's really awesome. And to hear about the company that you're working for and the investment that they're making and the culture that they have built, just, building that culture of value in their people. And it's very clear that you guys are a team, and that you're collaborating, working together. Lucy, it was, right?
Yes,
yeah,
Lucy.
she made a comment when she was up and jumping up and down, and she made a comment to me that she absolutely loves it there.
Yes.
And she's like, the culture is so the comment that she made was, it's fun to come to work. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize about the trade industry, is that the people in the blue collar world, in the trade industry, and I'm a little biased here, but they're cool people.
They're very cool people.
Yes.
You don't feel that uptightness when you come to work.
Yeah.
It's like working with friends.
Yeah, it is like working with friends. And I mean, where do we spend most of our time in our lives? We spend most of our time, like, I love my family, but I have to go to work a certain many of hours of the week. Wow, that was really, so I wish we could edit things. Yeah, certain many of hours. I have to go to work for a certain period of time every week. And that period of time is more than I would like it to be. It separates me from those who I love. But how much better is it than when you can do it with people that you also care about and that you know care about you, and you're working together to build something together? Yeah.
Yes. Another plot twist, I have a son. And working
I love plot twists. This is great.
Working at McKENNEY'S, that is one of the reasons why I'm probably going to retire there. The work-life balance on top of everything else also is just purely amazing. If I need to take time off, if I need to leave early, pick up my son, it's like they understand family. They value family. It's majority family owned. So, of course,
Wow.
family is going to be a high value, right?
Absolutely.
So when it comes to those things, it's never a, well, this job, or it is, no, it's like, take care of your son. Like,
Yeah.
that is priority. And
Yeah.
that's very important to me as a mother, having
Yeah.
that opportunity. Like, if my son has some type of event at school, like, I'm being late. I need to go to see my son do some type of dance on stage, and he's little, but it's like they value that, and I appreciate that so much.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I think, as a business owner, that's one of the things that I think that we need to be adjusting and looking at. How do we build that flexibility? How do we grow in that way? Because we need to do that. That's part of the cultures that we need to build. And we need to change the culture in not only our industry, but in our society, of how we value things, how we look at it. And, whether it's you leaving early for your son or another something else. One of the other things that I find really interesting in the blue collar trade space is it's about getting the job done.
Absolutely.
And it's like, so
Yeah.
if you know that you got to do, so yeah, you're leaving early here, but you're investing time over here.
Absolutely.
Because you're working with a team and you're getting the job done. And that's what it's about. And so you have to do, so it really doesn't matter what you do over here.
As long as you get,
As long as you get the job done. And
Absolutely.
so that flexibility, and as owners, as bosses, we need to change the way that we look at that, because if we're attracting people that want to be a part of a team and want to get the job done, then it's easy to be flexible, because you've bought in. And I mean, I saw it with your culture over there. All of you guys, you bleed blue. There is no doubt about it. So,
Yes.
well, I guess I want to, as we're coming to an end here, I want to ask you two more questions. And I talk about this in every podcast. I believe that we learn from our mistakes. And I want to have an honest conversation with you about mistakes. And we learn from them because we don't ignore them. We decide to look at them. We decide to face them. And so, Armani, would you share with us, is there a mistake that you have made that you have learned from and been able to grow from?
Yeah, so one of the things I say is, it's not win or lose, it's win or learn. So I never take anything as a loss or as a failure.
I love
It's
that.
always a learning opportunity. So to be transparent, I'm going to talk about in school.
Yeah.
Especially during COVID, I was going through, it was just a lot going on
Yeah.
in life and trying to balance work and the world and everything.
Yeah.
And I failed a class. And that was my first time failing in like my life. So I took it very hard. I was like, oh my gosh, like the world is over. I should just drop out of school. I'm just beating myself up. And it really got me to a point where I was just going to quit.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't for me. Maybe I should just focus on working, because working, trying to be a mom and going to school,
That's a lot.
it must not be for me.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was just like a lot of self-doubt, a lot of like outside things that was trying to discourage me.
Yeah.
And I didn't let it discourage me.
Yeah.
It taught me a lesson about time management.
Yeah.
And I feel like time management, because of that, has been important and something I focused on. And now that's very important as I go into a project management role, because when you're on these jobs,
That's how you do
scheduling,
it.
time
That's
management is
all about
very
that.
important.
Yeah.
And if that situation didn't happen, it may not have been something that I would have went and focused on and
Yeah.
tried to get better at. And now it's a skill that I have that helps me in the workspace, that
Yeah.
allows me to go and like look at the future, make sure, okay, how are things looking? Okay, we're a little behind. All right, we need to adjust here. Hey, let me reach out to the designers, make sure we're getting these things put in. So it makes me be proactive to make
Yeah.
sure that we're staying on time. And obviously in construction, nothing is ever going to be perfectly timed. Like if you work in
Yeah.
if you know, you know.
Yeah.
But just being proactive and trying to do my best and having an understanding of time management has helped so much. So that lesson,
Yeah.
though it was hard, I bounced back from. It didn't delay me graduating. It all ended up actually working out, and I'm here now.
Isn't it amazing when we make mistakes or when something is happening, like, you know, you talk about you failed the class, and it's like we always go to the most negative,
Yeah.
you know, and I don't know about you, but like if I have to make a hard phone call or I have to deal with a mistake that I made or I have to face it, before I do it, I make it so big in my mind, and it's really never as big as I make it out to be.
Right.
It's really amazing how that works. And
Yeah.
I think, you know, to speak to what you're talking about and with mistakes, and the whole purpose that I like to ask that question is, if we don't look at it, if we don't face it, the quicker that we face it, the quicker we can overcome it. And that mistake turned into something that's a real positive for you.
Absolutely.
And I've done project management in a similar sphere of construction as you're in, and that is essential. Like it is the
Essential.
thing.
Yes.
It is the thing that you need is time management, and that came out of a mistake. So if you're out there and you're listening, you know, and it's like, and you're struggling with the fact that you've made a mistake and you can't get past it, the only way that you can grow and improve is to decide to look at that mistake, see what it is, you know, like Armani, that what it is that you need to learn from that, apply it, and move on.
Yeah,
That's
you
the
don't,
other thing.
You don't
is
fail until you just stop trying.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You don't fail if you don't quit.
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the other thing I just want to ask you, it seems really appropriate. You know, we're here in Atlanta, Georgia at, you know, Construction Ready Career Expo, Skills USA. Thousands of kids have been walking through here today,
Yes.
and there will be thousands more tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
Yeah. I'm a little nervous. Everybody, this is my first time being here. I'm a little nervous. Everybody's like, this is nothing. Like,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Everyone has been telling me no. Tomorrow is when
Yeah.
it really goes down. And
when
I'm like,
it really
okay.
goes down.
Yes.
So my question for you is, what is your motivation or encouragement to others here at Construction Ready? Even if they're listening to this, you know, they might not be listening to it for a couple of months or a couple of weeks, whatever it is. What is Armani's encouragement to those who are listening?
My encouragement would probably just be don't get discouraged. Even though things can happen and it can be discouraging in a moment, don't let that stop you from trying. Because that is, I feel like that's the worst thing you can do is just stop trying and just give up. Because it does get better.
Yeah.
It may not look like it in the moment,
Yeah.
but it literally, there's nothing in my life that in the moment I felt distraught about that didn't get better.
Wow. That's good. And it's true. I mean, I can relate to that in some ways, you know, and I feel like your story, like that ties in even with what I was saying about, you know, how we make things in our mind. And it's like, if you face that and you push through it, and I mean, my goodness, you're a mom, you're going to school, you're working. I'm pretty sure that your life is harder than mine, to be quite honest. And your drive and your desire to push through that, and your life is getting better, and your life
Absolutely.
will get better. And if you're listening and you're a mom or you're a dad, and you don't have a support system and you feel like it's not there, there are companies out there that will be that support system. There are people out there, and it does get better. You just have to push through. You know, you have to keep on pushing. You have to keep on striving. And Armani, you said this earlier here, don't give up. So if we don't give up, then it's not a failure.
Yeah, a lot of times, especially when people have kids,
Yeah.
that can become an excuse or a reason.
Oh,
or
wow, we're going deeper here.
It can, and a lot of people use, well, I have kids, or don't let that also be an excuse, because it really does become an excuse. And I've done it.
Yeah.
By myself. It's schools that will support you. There's different. They'll work around your schedule. There's jobs. It may take you. You may not be able to do it in 4 years. It may
Right.
take you 8 years. It may take
Right.
you 12 years. But just keep going, and that reward will not just be for you, but for your children as well.
Yeah.
It'll be worth it at the end.
Well, on that, I mean, here we are in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It is about the next generation. And so, you know, we're here surrounded by companies like McKinney that have stepped up to the line. And one, I just want to say thank you to McKinney for doing that. Your people are real people. They're solid people. If you're listening to this and you're an owner or you're a contractor, step up to the line. Step up to the line and not quitting. Step up to the line and learning from your mistakes. Step up to the line in not making excuses. I mean, Armani just said that. Don't use the hardships in your life or the things in your life as an excuse. Use them as a challenge to strive to go after what will be better. She just spoke to that, and she said, as long as you don't give up, it gets better. And you can speak to that authentically, and I appreciate that. And I agree with it. I've seen it in my own life, and you can see it in yours. You just need to continue to push on to the next level. So step up to the line with us, lift the view of the skilled trades, and let us continue to make a difference in changing the way that people look at what we do day in and day out. Armani, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Again, McKinney, I believe you guys are on Instagram. You have a
Yes.
website, so you guys can follow them. Do you know your website off the top of your head?
Look up McKenny's Incorporated in Atlanta.
McKinney's Incorporated in Atlanta. All right. Thank you so much for your time here today. I really appreciate you sitting down with me and having an honest conversation.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. All right. We're out.